This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Danny Connor here over Zoom this Sunday morning. Danny, we see a huge night of boxing last night. We saw the rematch reignited Usyk versus Fury 2. A lot of controversy, not just with the main event, but around the whole card. What did you make of the main event, first of all?
Good fight, good fight. Like what you'd expect from like an Usyk fight. He's obviously not the most engaging with it when it comes to like he does what he wants to do. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if he wants to box, he'll box. If he's got an opponent, he adapts to the opposition. And I think Fury trying to force the action. I think that's what he had to do. Um, but he tried to force the action, and Usyk adapted and he moved. It wasn't a bad fight to watch, but good fight. And Usyk obviously stuck to his game plan, stuck to what he had to do. He made Tyson miss quite a bit. Joe, it was a close fight. Like I couldn't really call it. It was a tough one. I thought to myself, my heart said Tyson, but at the same time, like I said, I felt like Usyk made him miss quite a bit. And I feel like that was sort of the deciding factor in it. I think 4 rounds to Usyk is mental. I don't see how they gave him that, like by 4 rounds. Personally, I thought a draw could have been like a fair result. Or, like I said, it could have gone either way. If it had gone either way, you couldn't have moaned. But, for the romantic boxing sense, it would have been nice to see Fury win that, regain the titles, and have the rubber match. But it is what it is. I think, as like in his press, he said in his press conference afterwards, unless you knock him out, you can't guarantee anything with boxing. So, it is what it is. It's one of them fucking things, mate. At the end of the day. Sorry, swearing. Sorry.
All right. Another thing that Fury did say in the post-fight press conference was that Usyk got an early Christmas gift from the judges last night. Do you agree with that?
I wouldn't say it's an early Christmas gift. Like I said, mate, I think that it was a close fight. Could have gone either way. Personally, I had Fury just nicking it. But again, I can see why they gave it to Usyk. I could have seen, I can see it either way. But again, what Fury said, like unless you knock him out, unless you nail him to the floor, mate, you can't guarantee anything with boxing. So unfortunately, he didn't go out there and do that. So you can't moan. And boxing, you never know what you're going to get with the judges. You never know what you're going to get. So unless you knock them out, that's the only guarantee you're going to get. Apart from that, you're at the judges' mercy, aren't you?
Well, we saw, obviously, we've seen the whole build-up talks of where does each fighter go afterwards. We now know the result. And we saw Daniel Dubois jump in and gate crash Usyk's interview last night. What do you think Oleksandr Usyk does next? Obviously, Dubois has shown interest. Do you have any interest in a rematch between those two?
To me now, like I think like that's sort of done and dusted for a while. I think like if he goes out there and fights Dubois, don't get me wrong, like I'd like to see Dubois win that fight, and I'd like to see him, do the business. But whether or not he does is another thing. Like, for me to beat Fury, you've got to have a little bit of intelligence there. You've got to have a bit, you've got to be a bit good at sort of everything. And I think Dubois is like a power punching sort of pressure fighter, which is like what I think is the I think that's the man to beat Usyk, but I just don't think he has the ring intelligence to beat Usyk, if I'm honest. Um, I can see Usyk beating Dubois, stopping him again. Like I think when he gets tough with Dubois, he sounds bad, but he sort of packs it. He's like jacks it in. Like you can see, there's just a switch that switches off in his head, and he's just like, "No, I've had enough." Like that's it. Whereas you don't get that with Tyson Fury, even Joshua. Like Joshua sort of has a go. Do you know what I mean? He don't give up. He goes out on his shield. But with Dubois, I don't feel like we get that. So I can see Usyk winning that again. But then where does he go from there? Do you know what I mean? Who else is there for him to fight after that? It's a bit of a tough one, but I'd like to see next Fury against Joshua. I think we've waited for that one for long now. I'd like to see that next, like in terms of that. Like as far as Usyk goes, Joe, I'd like to see him before he packs in. I'd like to see him fight Dubois, and I'd like to see him fight BAKOLE before we pack it all in. And then if he beats them two, he's cleared the division out, isn't he? So fair play to him.
Obviously, you mentioned wanting to see Fury versus AJ next. Do you feel there's any possibility that Fury might think, well, there's no world title, so I don't want it anymore? And do you feel there's a chance Fury could call it a day?
Yeah, maybe. You know what he's like. He's unpredictable, ain't he? He's all over the place, Tyson. Like, I think what you get with Tyson is how he wakes up on the day. If he wakes up in the morning and he fancies it, then he'll go for it. But I don't know. I think obviously he'll get Christmas out of the way and have a think about it. But they've both made hundreds of millions of pounds, ain't they? So it's like an ego thing now. You don't need the money, you don't need to box. Like, but at the same time, I think if we don't have Fury Joshua, it's going to be one of them fights that we missed out on. But to be quite honest, again, it's like Fury and AJ should have happened 2 or 3 years ago when they were both at the top of the tree. But I don't know what it is that why it hasn't happened. It's something probably something similar to the Conor Ben Eubank fiasco we've got going on at the moment, where they're both just like, no, they don't want to lose face or whatever. But yeah, I'd like to see that next. There is a chance Fury could retire. Of course there is, because that's what you just never know what you're going to get with him. But I think if there's a fight that's going to happen next, it's that one for sure.
Based on the performances that we've seen from
Sorry,
both
mate.
as of recent, who wins out of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury. I just think listen, Joshua as like he started the resurgence of heavyweights in England. And he's it. Love AJ because like I said, I've boxed on these undercards before. He's given everyone opportunities to earn money and to box on the big stage. So nothing but respect for AJ. But as a boxing match, I just think Tyson Fury's too. He's such a he can fight, he can box, he's got a great chin. There's no signs of that declining, neither his chin. So I don't, like I said, I just think Tyson's all wrong for AJ. Don't get me wrong, if it was the AJ that boxed Dillian White, years and years ago, and even Klitschko, I think that AJ is like a tough match for anyone. But he's declined a lot. Like for me personally, I feel like he's declined a lot. I feel like he's like right at the tail end of his career. Like for me, he's got one fight left, and if it's the only fight that you want to see AJ in now is the Fury fight, I wouldn't want him to go and fight BAKOLE. I wouldn't want him to even go and fight Fabio Wardley if I'm honest, because I feel like he's really at that sort of point now where like it's time for him to back in. But he's earned the Tyson Fury fight, and I think that is a good way for them both. I'd like to see them both bow out now, if I'm honest. Don't get me wrong, I think Fury's got loads left in the tank, but what's the point? I know how he thinks, and it's a fighter's mentality. He's probably going to think, what's the point if I'm not fucking fighting Usyk and beating Usyk? What's the point? Because he wants to be the daddy. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be number one. But so unless he's fighting Usyk, I can't see him. I can't see him hanging about. And again, if Usyk ain't gonna want to fight Tyson again, is he? Let's be honest. He's beat him twice. So what does he do next? He goes and fights Dubois and unifies the whole division, wins that title, and then you know, depending on how Tyson's done with AJ or whoever he fights next, I think that a third fight could be on the table for Usyk and Tyson. But again, it's how Tyson looks in that fight with AJ. If it goes out and dismantles him in a round and calling for the rabbit again, isn't he?
Just my last one on Fury Usyk before we look at some of the undercard fights.
Yeah.
We saw the fourth judge last night and an AI judge scoring the fight as well, alongside the other three. And the AI judge came up with a scorecard of 118, 112 in favour of Oleksandr Usyk. What do you make of that scorecard?
Well, obviously that's based. That's got to be based on punch stats, hasn't it? That's all I can imagine that it's based on. But yeah, it just shows you straight away that AI judging there's no place for in boxing. To be fair, there's no place for some of the fucking judges we've got. But nothing surprises me. So it wouldn't surprise me if that does come out. Fair play to His Excellency, for trying that out because he's sort of like a bit of a trailblazer with that. He's no one else has done it, and I really like what he's doing with the whole Riyadh season like thing, and giving everyone brilliant paydays and doing what he's got, doing what he can do for the boxing world. But the AI judging for me, like that just shows you straight away 118, 110. Come on, man, that's mental. Like not even close. Can you imagine if that judge? Imagine if that card came out, the uproar that would cause. So yeah, I don't think that that's the one. I think that that is definitely something that has been tried, tested, and needs to be left in 2024.
Absolutely. And looking at the undercard, one fight in particular that has took headlines just before the main event, obviously the ring walk start for it. Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen, a fight that was billed as Johnny Fisher's party to show the global stage how good he is, but Dave Allen wanted to spoil those plans. People didn't believe him when he said he was going to do it. But what a performance from Dave Allen last night in that ring of fight where a lot of people thought he came out on top. How did you score it?
Um, Again, I had listen. What do you have? I had Dave Allen winning. I had him 2 rounds up. I gave him the fourth through to the ninth. I scored the 10 even, but then again, like to me, I felt like Johnny Fisher. Like people give Johnny Fisher the 10th. I felt like he was sort of all at sea at that point, and he was just sort of flailing away. Like there was no there was no real quality to his work. Like listen, I love Johnny Fisher. I think he's really nice geezer. His dad, top fella, lovely geezer again. Mark Tibbs, I've known Mark Tibbs for years since I first started the boxing. So, my loyalty would always obviously be with them in terms of like, how my sort of knowing of the people involved, but again, Dave Allen, he won that fight. Like that's not, there's no beating around the bush. And I don't understand how they scored that for Johnny Fisher. Like I said, I was nothing personal against Johnny Fisher or, anything. And I'd love to see him. That fight, you can only learn from that fight. But just a mental decision. I just thought, like I said, I thought I had Dave Allen winning by 2 rounds. And to be honest, it's not even like it was 2 rounds and it was a close fight. Like, you get some fights, it was you give it to someone by 2 rounds, but it was like you can score it either way. With that, I scored it 2 rounds to Dave Allen, but there was just no debate in that. Like from the fourth onwards, Dave Allen whitewashed it. And like it weren't just on, punches thrown and scored and landed. It was also on his defensive techniques, like the way he was making Fisher miss. Like you don't really get a lot of credit for that, and you don't get points for that. And he was like making Johnny Fisher miss, countering him with a big overhand rights. Like he was catching him up in the middle with the sneaky uppercuts. Like he looks. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, I'll get you in a second. Yeah. He was. Yeah. He just for me looked like he won the fight easy. Like he just outmanned Johnny Fisher. He outdogged him. He looked like the experienced practitioner in there. He beat Johnny in every department. And like I said, I love Johnny Fisher as a fighter, like his old man, like his family. But I just do not understand how they scored that fight for Dave Allen, for Johnny Fisher. It's mental. I just can't see it. But again, like we say with boxing, you can never be shocked with boxing. There's always some type of controversy, and I just feel sorry for him because like a win last night. Right? Don't get me wrong. I don't feel like I don't feel like that's done him any damage. Like that loss, like because everyone knows. But everyone's of the same sort of opinion by the looks of it. So I think that His Excellency, Turkey, like we'll get him back out there, no doubt, and we'll keep him on his cards, and he'll look after him, and he'll earn money out of boxing. And Dave. Let's be honest, like Dave Allen's not going to be a world champion. We know that, and he knows that. He's a self-aware man, but. Again, like it could have earned, it's just a win, ain't it? It's the recognition for all the hard work that's gone into it. He deserves that, and he hasn't got that. We know he won the fight, and like I said, it's not going to dent anything that happens to him from now on because he'll go on to have big fights and he'll go on to have big money off the back of that, whether it be in England or out there. So yeah, but I definitely think Dave Allen won that fight.
Just my last one before I let you go. Do you believe that they run it back, Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen? Do you feel there's any need for a rematch?
As a fighter, yeah, 1,000,000%. If I'm Johnny Fisher, I'm going to be going. We want to we need to do that fight again for sure. Like I think if he fights Dave Allen again, I think there's a way to beat Dave Allen. And I think that Johnny Fisher's got the attributes to be able to do that. But at the same time, he, if I'm his team, I don't know. I think that maybe showed a little bit of his vulnerability and inexperience. So I think maybe they need to look at that and think, okay, do we need that fight right now, or do we visit that fight in a couple more? Because you know what Dave Allen's like. He's not going to go out there and have easy fights now, is he? He's going to go. He's going to be fighting tough fights against good people. So do you let him go out there and take a little bit more wear and tear, and possibly decline a little bit more before we go? Okay, let's jump in there and have that again. Because let's have it right. That's what boxing is, isn't it? It's you don't. It's rare that the best fight the best at the same time, or that you get an actual even match. It's a lot of the time it's bullshit. It's like you know what boxing is like. So no doubt, Eddie and Matchroom will look at that and think, do you know what? Personally, I think Johnny Fisher could beat Dave Allen. If he gets the right game plan and he makes the right preparation, he could beat him. But again, it's like you got to look at that last night and think to yourself, for me, like there was only one man in that fight. Like first 3 rounds, and Dave Allen said that was what he was going to do as well. Like he said, I'm going to let him have the first 3 or 4 rounds, and then I'm going to jump on him, and we're going to see what he's got in the tank. And he showed last night. He might have had the physical strength there, and like the gas tank, but he did not have the ring smarts, and he didn't have the experience, and that's where Dave Allen won that fight last night.
Well, Danny, appreciate your time, especially so quickly after the event. I'll let you go now and have a good
Top
Christmas
man.
and a happy New Year. And
You
we'll
too,
catch up again
Josh.
soon.
Yeah, top man. Cheers, mate.
Do it,
Nice
mate. Bye
one.
bye.